do look just like your mother did.
Good morning. My name is Nigeria Chambers. I am from Big Goat Belt Media. Fawzia, thank you so much for your time today. Congratulations. I would say your golden goose egg of a project is now in the world, the queen of my dreams in theaters nationwide. How you doing? How are you feeling? How are the vibes today?
Man, I don't know if the movie's ever been described as the golden goose egg, but I am feeling that. I love that. I feel good. I'm so blessed and um I I don't know, it's like thinking about just I've been centering for Muslim joy and Muslim joy for a few years now. And so the fact that this film is out there and audiences around the country get to watch it and maybe for 90 minutes get a safe place where they can
Mm.
feel all their feelings and laugh and cry at the same time. I'm blessed.
Thank you so much for that. And you can be humble if you want, but you said a few years. You go back to when the short film was released back in 2012, and that's when that was released. But you also have to go back a few more years before that, before you decided that you wanted to put this into the world. And I definitely have a lot of questions about the evolution to get to this point. But I want to give you a moment as a filmmaker when you talk about sort of the unprecedented times you personally had to go through to get this project to this point. Obviously, in being a filmmaker, we know it does take a lot of money, time, and effort and resources that some may not have. We also had a
Yeah.
pandemic. We have multiple strikes. And then just how does distribution work? When and where or how will it get seen? All these questionable things. And then, if I may say, and then you also have an industry that works against brown and black people. And when you want to tell a story that is your story, folks want to come in there and say, we don't want that. And
Yeah.
for the folks like you said, no, this is what it's going to be. And then ultimately, when you get to this point, you put it out in the world, and everybody who always believed in these type of stories, who always knew we need these type of stories, come and celebrate as a community. When you talk about that entire journey to get to this point, what does it mean to you, and why was it important to get to this finish line?
I mean, that's a lot of pieces of the journey. I mean, I have to say that I think like when we think about how do we begin, I think first of all, you have to want to begin. And if you don't know how to make a movie, it's okay. I mean, I didn't go to film school. I didn't go to theater school. I didn't get, I actually went to law school, which has nothing really to do with the other. Um, but I knew I started out as an actor and I left a career. I had a lot of debt. And I just was like, I'm going to follow this dream, right or wrong. Would I do it the same way? I don't know. But I just started acting. I started asking people questions. I started going to taking acting classes. I read a lot of plays. I was living in Chicago at the time, and so Chicago theater was my dream. Doing great big Chicago theater was the dream. And I met community there. I met a South Asian theater company there and really kind of started working with them as well. But I started writing because I didn't see roles for myself as an actor there. It was super limited in terms of what kind of roles I was being called in for and not being cast in. And so I started writing my own work. I had zero budget to do any of this, but I had other people who were also looking to create. And I think when we are driven to do what we want to do, whether it's make a movie, be an actor, be on screen, whatever the dream is, you have to look for the light. You have to find the light and find other people who are looking to create the same way as you. And so I found like a director because I wasn't a director at the time. I found a director who also edited, who could also do all the the post production. He was like a one man post house. His name was Ryan Logan. I found someone who was a DP, Amanda Clifford. She's now a nurse in Australia, but she was like yes, I just want to help you and make work with you. And so we just started making these short films and found other actors who weren't getting cast always in comedic ways or dramatic ways. And it was really starting small with the resources that we had, no matter how limited it was.
Yeah.
And honestly, you have to believe. It's like when we think about like the divine, you do have to believe in the dream, the divine, the higher power of possibility in order to fuel that creative. And for me, getting to that place of making that short film in 2012 called The Queen of My Dreams, which is that first inspo piece down the path of making this feature, it started from a place of deep, deep, deep need and wound. Like
Mm.
I had gotten out of a I'd gotten out of a breakup. I'd just been broken up with, and it was a really bad breakup. And I had to really do some soul searching about who am I? And if I'm queer, how do I live in this world in a way where I can be my most
Yeah.
expansive self without relying on someone else? And so that was the genesis of making this art and getting the help of that same friend Ryan, who helped me turn it into a short film, and making that art saved my life.
Mm.
Deeply therapeutic. Sharing that art at film festivals also helped me because it helped me find community that saw the power and importance of my voice and my
Yeah.
experience. And that really kind of put us on this the journey to this movie, and the journey to me having a filmmaking career.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I'm truly rooting for you at this point and beyond, and somebody who advocates for diversity and representation. It's just a no-brainer when I see projects like this, and thoroughly being invited into your space and to get a understanding of your community, your heritage, and feeling like there's a place for everybody in that. Is really why I love filmmaking and really why I love opportunities to talk to folks like you that are putting this inspiration, this positivity into the world, especially at a time right now when we need it the most. I do want to ask you about uh, the promotional work of this. I love the FaceTime calls that you did with so many different folks, and obviously stating, who is the queen of your dream. Who was the brainchild behind that? And just how much fun was it for
Uh,
you? Because I know there was a measure of work with it, but like you just genuinely look like you're having just a good time, you know?
I mean, I have to give all the props to the FaceTime calls to Monica and Archana at Product of Culture, one of our two distributors. We knew we wanted to do something fun and something, in making some videos of some kind. We weren't sure what it was. And they approached me with this idea and they were like, "Would you be down?" And I was like, "Yes, I love it. It sounds so fun." So, and truly, like, talking to people on the phone is just like a dream. Like it made me think about like these times that I feel like I used to living in Chicago. There were these times where I'd feel this like surge of love from my friends and community members. And I would just call them and be like, "I just want you to know I love you. And I haven't told you that. I need you to know." And so I was like, this feels reminiscent of that in some way, that feels so in my vibe that, like, yes, a thousand times yes. And, working with product of culture has been a dream, and their connection to community is so strong, and this just feels like them stepping into distribution is like another kind of expansion that we need, like
Yeah.
kind of going back to what you were saying about like brown and black people and the communities that are sort of so many communities that are both forgotten or not seen as valid audience members, or as communities that don't watch movies or go to the theater or don't spend money or don't care about art. Like there's so many labels put upon us.
Yeah.
And So, a product of culture was really able to be like, we know our community goes to the movies and they care and they will show up and we are us. And I think we've been really able to tap into that. And them teaming up with a more experienced distributor like Willa, another woman-led distributor slash producing company. It's been kind of wild.
I don't want it to end, to be honest. I keep checking the page every day. I was like, "Hey, is there a new one
Don't
gonna pop up
worry.
soon?"
Yes, don't worry. We're still going. And like it's kind of fascinating, when you also brought up the idea, like this distribution model, like it is, you're in it for the long game. I mean, you make a movie, it's your baby, like this is my baby. I will never not be with my baby. And when you are distributing a film, there are so many parts to it, especially when it's an indie film, especially when you're doing it in this sort of non-traditional unconventional way and you're sort of creating a new path for your
Yeah.
particular project. And so we have this phase, which is so important, of go out to see it in the theaters and buy tickets to not just my movie, but other indie films and
Yeah.
support these films in the theater. But also, we're going to be releasing this at some point in the future on TVOD, which means you'll be able to rent it or buy it. And then hopefully at some point you're going to be able to stream it. So there's many phases to come where, the FaceTime will still be serving face. You know what I'm saying?
Well, thank you very much for that. And as you said, like, yeah, this is your child, and with this story being very personal for you, and that's what filmmakers typically want to do, especially with their debut. They say, like, if I'm gonna go broke, it's gonna be on my story.
That's
Uh,
right.
but I'm wondering for you, at what point did you realize the impact that this will make, not only just for self, but for the other beautiful brown people that's involved, the queer community? When did you realize that this project was bigger than self?
I mean, to say that I think that um, the way that we made this film and the time, I was working with my editor, Simone Smith, who's a genius, like the way we worked to find the best version of this film to me was already higher than self. And I say that because it was decentering my ego about, well, but I shot this scene and it's so important, or we spent time and money on this scene, so we have to put it in the movie. Really removing those often ego driven parts of creating and saying, yes, we did. But what, or this scene was, I thought it would be the best one. And we need to have, but like really removing all of that connection of that is deeply often ego driven and just saying, but what is the best movie that we can share with audiences? What is the best version of this that will make our community feel the most, the most? And so it wasn't just my voice. Like I asked mentors and friends and like called community in and had a couple
Mm,
screenings of the film. And it's not just like for random strangers. It was for people whose voices and values are deeply in line with my values. And there were things that I didn't see,
mm.
right? Like, when we're ego driven, we think we have all the answers and
Yeah,
that our way is the way. But
yeah,
when we're community driven, we listen to the voices of, it's not just elders, it's people who are older and it's people who are younger. It is our whole community. And we're like, oh, I see. You're seeing something I missed. Yes, you are
yeah.
correct. So that process, I think, was already helping us make the
In
best
the
version of this
DNA.
film.
Yeah.
Yes, and then honestly, sharing it in movie theaters right now and seeing the impact it's having right now, where people are feeling like, here, somebody said to me, of safety and love that I needed.
Yeah.
And that is moving me in a new way than it did
Mm.
when we world premiered in Toronto. And so
At the
that
big
is
one, at not just Toronto, but at the big one at TIFF. Let's put some respect on that real
yeah.
quick.
Right on. I appreciate you. Yes.
Yeah.
It's just a different moment where people need to be cared for.
I I mm, I have time coming up, and I definitely wanted to sit here and sort of marinate in your glory right now. Like it's truly beautiful, and I did also that for 90 minutes, but I watched it twice, so that's 3 hours. But let me just quickly say two things before we wrap here. I respect your fashion, top tier. And because I was aware of your fashion, that's all I kept looking at in the film was just like, oh, I knew she was going crazy in this for the different eras that you got to play around with. Obviously, into respect of your heritage, but also some of the Americanized things that we got to see through different periods. Top tier, top tier. I
Thank
absolutely
you.
loved it. But you know what we got to ask before we wrap up here? Because I was very much in the trenches and I was like, I don't think I seen this answer, but I'm gonna find out myself. Who is the queen of your dreams?
Oh, I mean, it changes. And I think as we evolve, the answer evolves. But also, I don't have just one. It's my wife, Andrea Wilson Mirza. There's no one that I could do any of this without her. There's no one else I could do this with without her. And none of this would be happening without
Mm.
her. Now you got me emotional. You got me teary.
You deserve that and so much more. And all the flowers for all you've been able to accomplish thus far and putting this out into the world and putting healing into the world and solidarity and community and ultimately a safe space. I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed talking to you. Wish we had more time, but now I got to send people to go do their job, and that is to get to the
Yes.
theaters right now. The Queen of My Dreams in theaters nationwide. Thank you so much for your time today. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. Looking forward to your next project.
I thank you. This was such a great conversation. Lovely chatting
Anytime.
with you.
Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. Bye.
Bye bye.